Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Dan, and this is Dan Martin Likes You, and thank you for coming back. And today is a very special episode because this is my Q&A video. A couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I asked people for questions. Quite a few of you responded, which was awesome, and there are some great questions in there. Anyway, there's a lot of questions and some answers that will take some explanation, so I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible. Okay, question number one, here we go. Amanda Center wants to know, what are your top 5 favorite books? Okay, in no particular order. Conversations with My Agent by Rob Long, which is, I work in this industry, and this is one of the funniest books about dealing with a agent in the industry. Naked by David Sedaris, which I'll get into a little bit later. The Best American Science and Nature Writing. This is a fantastic anthology that's put out every year. I'm a big fan of nature and science writing. This is an anthology of essays from periodicals from across the country. Fantastic. Homeland by Sam Lipsyte, of which my copy is out on loan. One of my probably favorite current authors, present day authors. And then The Master and Margarita by Bulgakov. One of the most absurd novels I've ever read about, and I've said this before, I've talked about it before. It's always the first thing I recommend when people ask me for a book recommendation. This is the story of Satan and his cohorts descending upon Moscow and wreaking mayhem. It's just one of the craziest, best, funniest things I've read. Number 2, Amanda wants to know, what have I learned from being a booktube creator? Well, first and foremost, how to shoot and edit. I have worked in the entertainment industry most of my adult life, and yet I've never shot. I've always been a writer in television and digital, or in prose, and I've never picked up a camera and had to shoot, and so for that reason alone, it's been beneficial. For the second part of this, what have I learned from being a booktube creator? The community. In the past, I have been reluctant about joining book clubs because inevitably it takes a large part of your schedule out of your day, a large chunk of time out of your day to get around, and mostly you wind up like just there's a lot of small. I'm not opposed to small talk, by the way, but there's a lot of small talk and getting how was your day, how's everybody been. With BookTube, we cut out all the small talk. I subscribe to hundreds of BookTube channels, and I can just sit and watch what I want to watch in regards to discussions about books. And through the discussion of books, I get to learn about the people behind these books. And so for me, the community, it's like this sort of virtual book club with all these people from all over the world from incredibly diverse backgrounds has been incredible. Okay, next up, the Poptimist, David wants to know, day job, question mark. All right, I think I already alluded to it. I'm a writer in the entertainment industry. My day-to-day job is working for a entertainment company specializing in short-form content, YouTube and whatnot. I will link a couple of things below that I've done in the past. I'm not going to say they're amazing. I'll just say that these are things that I've done. Okay, David's next question is first favorite video game. The first ever game I played that absolutely blew my mind was I was going to say Zork 1. It was a text-based video game on my Commodore 64, but I'm also remembering prior to that on my Atari 2600 was Adventure, and the game itself wasn't that great, but I remember it was the first video game ever that had an Easter egg. Dreamcast for your yet unreleased book. For those of you who don't know, I have a book coming out this October, Operation Cure Boredom. It's a memoir of my experiences in the military. Hopefully it's very, very funny. We'll see. Dreamcast though, I don't know, Michael Cera, maybe? Okay, 80s movie TV crush. I mean, to be honest, as a teenage boy in the 80s, literally every female. There is not a single female in anything I watched in the 80s that I didn't have a crush on at that moment. And his last question, why 2 days without a shower? It's the weekends. Although I showered this morning. But on the weekends, and my wife is like currently doing a play here in Los Angeles, and I don't get to see her that often, I can get away without the showers. It's amazing. Elizabeth Schubert asks, favorite movies and TV shows of your youth? Anything with Harrison Ford, first and foremost. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars. Absolutely. I think probably Raiders of the Lost Ark might be one of my favorites. But A-Team, Looney Tunes, Abbott and Costello, all great Saturday morning stuff. Okay, restricted section. I don't know which one of you. Are there any authors who have influenced your own writing? Yes. I've already mentioned this book. I've probably mentioned it in many videos. Naked by David Sedaris. David Sedaris, overall, more than any other writer, has influenced my writing. I have 100% gone out of my way to steal or attempt to steal his style. I remember when I started writing my book in 2000. That was the year I started. I just moved to Los Angeles, and of all people, my mother had read this book and sent it to me, and I read it, and it just blew me away. The style of writing. I thought, that's it. That's the kind of memoir I want to write. Something that has some purpose and some meaning behind it, but is also fucking hilarious. One of my favorite questions that the restricted section asked, do you have any advice for someone who is intimidated by trying to write a book? I will say this, having been a writer all of my life, the first thing that you write and the first thing that anybody writes is terrible. Just know that the first draft that J.K. Rowling writes of anything is fucking awful. It just is. And I'm sure she'd be the first to tell you that. Ernest Hemingway, whoever, because rewriting is writing. And that's the most important thing that I learned as a writer when I was much younger, was that the first thing that comes out of you is literally like, just like clearing your throat. It's taking that first thing and then shaping it and molding it like a big slab of clay into something awesome. So don't be intimidated by whether or not, because this is often what I find is that people are like, it won't be good, and I'm like, of course it's not going to be good. It's going to suck. It's going to be fucking terrible, but it should be terrible because it's the first draft of anything you write. It's always going to be terrible. Next up, Brooke Coven asks, what have you found to be an especially well done screenplay adaptation of a great book? Okay, well, I will say this. The best adaptation that actually got made into a movie for me was Wonder Boys. It was a fantastic novel, and I thought it was an even better movie. So I don't know if anybody remembers it. It was starred Michael Douglas and Tobey Maguire and Frances McDormand, and it was fantastic. The book, amazing. Michael Chabon, I never know how to pronounce his name. But my favorite screenplay ever, that was originally a novel, that I thought was the best screenplay that I had ever read, was Big Fish by John August. The novel was by somebody else, I don't remember, but the screenplay was John August. It did not, however, turn out to be a great movie. Liz at Now Voyaging asks, what is your favorite film? Okay, Raiders of the Lost Ark or Almost Famous. Cameron Crowe's movie about a kid going on an adventure with a great rock and roll band is one of the greatest adventures I've ever seen on a film. Here's the most revealing question I've gotten. Who gave you your love of reading? Or I should say the most revealing answer. Okay, it's not really who. It's really what gave me my love of reading, and that is rehab. Here's something I don't ever really talk about, definitely on this channel, and surely not with a lot of people I know. When I was a youth, I was a very troubled kid, and I spent over 2 years in and out of rehabs. One of them, 2 years was the longest, and it was a very militaristic place where you had to sit on wooden chairs facing walls, and at one point, like, it was very much like being in the military. In fact, it was worse because you weren't defending your country. You were just a troublemaker. Anyway, the one refuge that we had in that place was books, was reading. So says Grout. She knows, but reading. And that's really where I fell in love with reading, because I could escape my day-to-day, which was just getting yelled at. So that's it. That was my big Q&A. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. Thank you for everyone for watching. And thank you for everyone who continues to come back week after week. I'm so grateful that you guys watch, and I'm so grateful that that you allow me to do this every week. Okay, so next week, I think I'm going to talk about my 5 favorite YouTubers and the people who got me like excited about creating YouTube content. So that'll be next week. All right. Thank you all. I'll see you next week. Bye.